96.7 Lights FM.
Hello, book lovers, and welcome to another episode of the Public Library Podcast. I am honored to have a return guest. Bridgett M. Davis is back with her newest book, Love, Rita. And I know that's not the full title. Tell us the full title.
An American Story of Sisterhood, Joy, Loss, and Legacy.
Welcome back to the show. It is so good to see you.
Thank you. It's so great to be back.
And thank you for this book as well. Before we get started, tell everybody what your book is about.
So this book, Love, Rita, is about a couple things. First, it's about my sister, Rita, and our relationship as sisters. She was older than I, and so we had moments when we were really struggling to get along and filled with sibling rivalry, and then we became adults and our relationship deepened. And I wanted to really explore what sisterhood is truly like. I felt it wasn't really represented a lot, in the culture. So that was a goal. But also I wanted to tell Rita's story because she's someone who lived this extraordinary life, even though it was cut short due to lupus. And that was something else I thought a lot of people don't know much about. And so it was important to me to do both of those things.
I am one of four sisters, so a book about sisters is always an appealing thing to me. And when I went into this book, I thought about what is it like to write about your sister? And for you, why was this now the right time for this book?
Yeah, I didn't think I was going to write another memoir because I've written one before. As
Right.
you know, I wrote a book about my mother, The World According to Fannie Davis, all about her life in the underground lottery business that we called the numbers. And I thought, well, I'm good. I've told this family story. In fact, my sister Rita appears in that book quite a bit because she was instrumental in helping my mom run the business. They were very close. I thought I had written about my family. But then I was literally writing to my sister Rita on what would have been her 65th birthday, which felt like a good thing to do to just honor that moment, that occasion. I had lost her over 25 years ago.
Wow.
And yet I sat down to write this letter, and the strangest thing happened. I found myself saying, I don't know why you're here. You're not here. I still don't know why you're not here. And it made me realize I had not really processed losing her. I really hadn't fully grieved. And I'm a writer, so the way I process these things is through writing. And that was the moment I realized, oh, wow, you do have another book to write, and it's about Rita.
During the process of writing this book, what was it like for you emotionally? I mean, you just mentioned, she wasn't here long enough. How did you manage your emotions during the writing process of this book?
I love that question because it was far more surprising, even to me, as someone working on my fourth book. I thought I knew what I was doing, and I thought I was equipped to write about a family member. But this book is the most personal book that I have ever written because a sibling is your contemporary.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They're in the world with you, right alongside you. That's a very particular kind of relationship and therefore a very particular kind of loss. And so what I wasn't prepared for was talking to all the people that are still around that were in her life because they're not that old.
Yeah.
And so that was so emotional for me. Talking to her college roommate and her best friend from grad school and her former lovers and, her colleagues at work. It brought so much back to me because their voices literally, and my having known them throughout my life, really made it very present for me. I was reliving my life with her, which can be a good thing, but also losing her. I was reliving that. So it was all over the place emotionally. You asked me what it was like. There were good days, and there were days when I could not get back to the work for a week. I'd have to just take a break. So it was all the things. I tell people that writing about someone you love is an incredible experience because it puts you in a relationship with them again. And I missed her.
Yeah.
And so writing about Rita and our growing up together and all these fun memories, it brought her back to me. But then I had to write about when she passed. And that brought that back to me.
Of course.
Yeah.
You know, we grew up during that time when folks didn't talk about things, you know, and did you ever come across any difficulty because people or you didn't have the details behind things and these stories had never been told? Once you started talking about them and bringing them back up, were people willing to share with you?
People were very willing.
Okay.
Because what they wanted to do was, as you've just pointed out, process a grief that they'd had no space to do before because we don't talk about it. As her best friend from graduate school said to me, I never dealt with the fact that she's gone. And this has been therapeutic for me, Bridgett. Thank you, because you're letting me express some feelings I didn't have anyone to share with before. So I came around asking questions and people got to emote and unload and share. I mean, a lot of it was like smiles and laughter. They wanted to talk about those special times with her. So I realized, wow, this is a communal experience. I'm really helping others too to talk about something that they've been silent about for a couple decades. So that was really rewarding. Now, let me tell you the other part though. In going back and looking closely at and basically researching her life, I learned things I didn't know. And I would say be prepared for that possibility when you start writing about someone. And some of what I learned was really hard to accept. So now, something that happened to my sister, say, in the 70s when she was in college, I'm now in 2023, 2024, processing it.
Wow.
Yeah.
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 I sense that when you talked about some of the old boyfriends and just some of the things she experienced. And what was fascinating is you're writing a story about your family, which you know, but you still have to do research. For me, I learned a lot about lupus, for example.
Right.
But you clearly researched healthcare and the health system and other things during this book. Tell us about why that was part of the book as well.
Yeah, I am big on research.
Okay.
And maybe some of it has to do with my background as a journalist, but I really believe it's because I have this basic belief. I just think that you cannot explore anyone's life without understanding the context within which they live that life. And how do you get a sense of the context? You have to do the research. What was happening in the culture?
Yeah.
That informs and influences what happens to this person, you know? And I don't believe it happens nearly enough when it comes to Black life. Do we ever really fully understand the influences and the impact of societal pressures and injustices and how that literally can shape your personal life?
And I loved how you kept bringing that back, bringing that in every aspect
I did.
of everything that you discussed in this book. You like, and here's why this could have been, this is what could have been happening. This is what could have been leading to, I mean, down to even talking about how she came into the world.
Exactly.
And how that impacted her DNA, for lack of a better word.
Exactly, because research shows now that, you know, fetuses have impacts on their lives based on what's happening to their mothers, you know?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, that was one of the things I really enjoyed about your book.
Thank you.
Interesting you mentioned, before I said it, what did you learn about yourself writing this book?
Whew, yeah. Well, I learned that I could do it. I could talk about these difficult losses in my life and still be okay because I wasn't sure about that. And I had not been talking about it. People who knew me did not know I had so many losses in my life.
I didn't.
Exactly. And you're not the only one.
Yeah.
Most people didn't know. So I learned that I could both reveal these things and still be okay, you know?
That to me, in this conversation means more than anything because you do share a lot of hard things. And I learned that the story was about more than Rita. Chapter 30 was almost more than I could bear, but you lived through it. It was your life, her life, and it's not an easy thing to read about. So how have readers reacted to your book?
Well, I wasn't sure how that response would go, but in fact, what people have said to me is, I'm so glad someone's talking about some losses that help me feel that I'm not the only one. And there was something in me, there was a gut feeling that maybe that would be the response or the reaction. But also, you sometimes worry that people want something light. Life is hard.
Yeah.
And maybe people don't want to read about something that is that difficult. And so I've been surprised pleasantly that people are feeling that they're being seen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, you have lots of light. There is lots of light.
Yeah.
The way you discuss Rita's style, and I was like, oh, I remember that. Oh, I would, we should bring that back. And that was the thing that was constant all the way throughout the book is you gave homage to her style over and over, and that was a very beautiful and uplifting thing because she had plenty of it.
She did. She was stylish. Yeah, for sure.
One of the things I thought was really cool too, you mentioned Octavia Butler, and I'm reading The Parable of the Sower right now, and I'm so taken aback about how she predicted so much of 2025, which is really weird because that book was written in the early 90s. But you also offered a look at what a future for Rita in the 21st century would have been like. Why did you choose to include that?
Yeah, I decided I wanted to write this epilogue. And I remember telling my editor, I've got this interesting end note for the book. I didn't tell her what it would be, and I just wrote it before I could stop myself. And so I did it because, first of all, I keep thinking about what I have missed with my sister Rita. We were so close. There's so much that has happened since she died in 2020. I mean, look at how much has happened.
2000.
I'm sorry, 2000.
You can start the sentence again.
Okay. Sorry. Here we go. So I've been thinking a lot about what I missed by not having her in my life since the year 2000. So much has happened in the past 25 years. Just think about it.
Yeah.
And much of it I would have been sharing with her. So part of me wanted to just imagine, right? What would those conversations be like? It was a way of my indulging something that I had longed for so long. But also, it was my way of helping you to imagine Rita today.
Yeah.
So that you could get a sense of her and feel that maybe in a strange way she's in your life.
What was interesting too is you talked a lot about how y'all communicated across distances and having to pay for long distance calls. I'd forgotten all about that.
A lot of people don't realize how much it costs to call someone long distance.
And how now, we call all over the world. I mean, if you're traveling, you got to pay the fee, but if you're at home, it's costing you nothing.
Exactly.
And how much she would have liked that. That was one of the things that part of the book kind of left with me.
Yeah, she was so excited about the new century. Because again, I remember talking to her on New Year's Day, year 2000. Happy New Millennium, she said to me. She was looking forward to what she understood was going to be a better world in a lot of ways. Certainly, it would have been easier for her on practical levels to be someone with a chronic disease moving through the world with more aids and support, the way something like a cell phone can give you now. Yeah. So
one of the things that I thought was really cool, well, she was always so supportive of you. You all supported each other, but you produced a play together. That was so neat. And not only that, you had Ruben Santiago Hudson in it.
We did.
That's amazing. So, what was the importance of this moment for the two of you that you share in your book?
It was so amazing. We were producing a local production of Pearly Victorious, right? Ozzie Davis's play.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in Detroit. And we were both young women at that point, 22 and 26, I think. And here we are finally able to do something together
Right.
as young adults. And we realized we had these complementary skills. And we worked well together. It was important for us to see that about ourselves. I think that did a lot to really strengthen our adult relationship. And it was so much fun. We lost money, by the way. But it
that's
was
not the
still
point.
fun. It was still fun.
I mean, that happens.
Yeah, it's the arts.
But the bonding part, you will never lose.
I'll never lose the memory.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
so
will
it
never
was.
lose that part of it.
It was invaluable.
You know, you mentioned this earlier. Parents naturally die before their children, but the world is untrustworthy when a sibling dies. I know this oh too well myself after the loss of my oldest brother. But for you, it was an even deeper level of untrust.
Yeah.
What did writing about such profound losses gift to you?
Writing about the losses in an odd way took the sting out of them.
Oh.
Yeah. There's something about describing it, just, putting it down in what we used to call black and white,
Yeah.
and just confronting it. And suddenly it's not this thing that lives in my head that's building momentum and really creating anxiety and sadness. It's just the facts. And again, once I'd written it, I had the chance for people to react. And that was so nourishing because people were both supportive. Oh, Bridgett, I had no idea. And also encouraging. I'm really proud of you. And thank you because you helped me. So now I'm not carrying this as a burden,
Yeah.
right? It's got some value at least. It's benefiting someone, not just me, to really reveal it. So I can't describe enough the value of actually being able to write this book. It has lifted my spirits. I don't have the burden I was carrying around anymore.
That is amazing.
I know.
That is really amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you thought that would happen when you sat down to write it.
I had no idea. I just knew I had to write it. So
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was going to take. And it was like going through the fire to write it because some of that was not fun. But
So-
worth it.
Yes, absolutely worth it. You indicated that you and your sister Rita figured out your own personal numbers, the numbers that follow you around. Do those numbers still follow you? I love that, first of all.
Oh, yes. My number is 7. It follows me around.
Mine is 5.
Yours is 5.
Yeah.
That's my son's number 2. Yeah, it's
My
a good
birthday
number.
is 2-3. I am the 5th child. And it's like so many instances of 5.
And don't you have 5 letters in your first name?
I do. I didn't think about that.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
I did know that. I'm like, when I saw it, I was
Yeah.
like, oh, wow. Because I thought, that's a little kooky for me to think like that. And so as I'm reading that, so
You're not the only one.
I'm not the only one. Again, that idea of what you put when you do pen to paper that brings people together, that
Yeah.
makes them feel like they're not alone in a lot of different ways.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I could identify as a sibling from a large family. I could identify with sibling loss. I could identify with the numbers. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about you just never know when you're putting something out into the world what it brings back. But what do you hope people take from this book?
I really hope that first and foremost, people will feel that they know Rita a little bit or that they wish they had known her. That's the goal I have primarily. I wanted people to know who this extraordinary woman was and to share her with people. But also, yes, I want people to feel less freakish. I'm going to use that word.
I like it.
Yeah, about loss, having lost loved ones. You can feel that there's something strange and odd about you because you're carrying around this grief or this terrible thing happened to your family. Like maybe why are you being singled out? When in fact we all experience loss. It's actually a universal experience. We're just not allowed to think of it that way in this culture because it's so grief phobic.
Yeah.
You know?
I was 15 when my father passed, and I was 45 when I finally grieved.
Wow.
I know, isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
And
So-
not unusual.
So I can completely identify.
Yeah.
So I hear some good things may be happening with your last book, The
Yes.
World According to Fannie Davis, the one about your mother. Anything you can share with us?
Yes, well, the film rights are being optioned with Plan B Entertainment. You may have heard of them.
I definitely know
Yeah.
Plan B. I don't know if everybody
Um,
else knows Plan B, so tell us who Plan B.
Plan B is the company that was started by Brad Pitt.
Not a bad
Not
connection.
bad. They've done some cool things, like moonlighting and moonlight, right? Moonlight. You'll have to clear this up for me.
Yeah.
They've done some cool films, and they, in particular, seem to do well with stories about Black life. So that's exciting, and so I'm really looking forward to the day that it's being turned into a film. There's a director attached already. I have written the script, so fingers crossed.
What was that process like, turning your book into a script?
That was so odd.
Really?
Yes, because I'm adapting a story that I wrote about my life and my mother's life and turning it into a screenplay. So I had to figure out, how to create some type of separation so I could give the story what it needed. It was so close to me that it was important for me to go through that process of saying, okay, you're about to write a script and the character's name is Bridgett.
Right. I never thought of that.
Yes. So
were you just completely generous with her?
that's the challenge. You have to really make them all real characters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And not think about who's going to play me,
When you wrote that book, did you envision that? Was that part of what you wanted to see, or did it come about organically, or was that like part of your vision board?
That was not part of my vision board, to be honest, and it was pretty organic. And maybe some of it is because I tend to write in a pretty visual way.
You do.
I do, because I did have this experience back in the day as an independent filmmaker.
Right.
And so I had written and directed and produced my own feature. So that was my those were my formative years as a writer. And so even when I got to writing fiction and then nonfiction, I brought those screenwriting elements with me. And so I wasn't thinking about it as a screenplay. I just was writing in the way I knew how to write, which maybe is playing a little movie in my head as I'm writing.
Yeah. But I like that. I mean, as I'm thinking about reading your book, it was very visual. I felt Detroit. I felt New York. It helps to have been to both of those places, and even Atlanta, like wherever. I felt the campus of Fisk University. I felt it all. I mean, I knew what the size of the dorm room looked like, even though you don't necessarily give those minute details, but you put us in the environment.
Yeah.
And so I can see how that translates to film very easily. What are your next ideas for a book? Or I know you got a lot going on. You're doing the script and you're still promoting this book, but do you have a next book in mind?
Well, in a way I do. I keep saying to folks, I want to rest.
Yeah.
Because
Rest is important.
this was quite the book. But also, yes, I've been really fortunate that this film that I made, Naked Acts, got rediscovered recently.
Really? That is
Yes.
so cool.
Yes, and so in 24, it was restored and re-released. And so it went on to have this whole life, a week-long sort of run at BAM and all these theaters throughout the country and actually throughout the world. And so it's just brought all these young people into my life asking me over and over, what were the 90s like? What was it like to be in a video store? Because two of the main scenes in the film take place in a real video store in Fort Greene, Brooklyn. And it's got me realizing that was a really important cultural moment. And I am thinking a lot about writing, about making the film, about living in what we were calling a mini Harlem Renaissance in Fort Greene, Brooklyn back in the 90s, and what that whole experience meant for all of us as these Black creatives. So I'm sort of living with these ideas around yet another book about a cultural moment.
I love that. That is
Yeah.
really cool. And the interesting
Yeah.
thing is I don't think about like eras that I lived in, because it just seems like it was yesterday,
Right.
as something that for someone who wasn't there, culturally important.
Yeah, it takes someone young to do that. That's what happened with me as well. It was just where I was living at the time, coming of age as a
Yeah.
young woman. But when so many people who are now the age I was back then saying to me that they're fascinated by it and they want to know more.
It was fun.
And I was like, it was pretty cool.
I mean, that was
So-
that was when Biggie and Tupac were still around.
Exactly. It was an exciting moment.
It really
So-
was.
Yeah.
So, are you reading anything exciting right now? I know you. I'm like, do you have time? I know you
It's
are
hard.
also still teaching, correct?
I am not still teaching. One of the things I decided to write this book was to step aside from teaching after over 3 decades.
Wow.
And allow myself the space that I knew this book, Love Rita, really needed. So I made that choice. And I'm glad I did, because ultimately this was the hardest book. It took the most breaks for me to write it. And it's also the quickest book I've ever written.
Really?
Yeah. 2.5 years.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
interesting. I would have thought the exact opposite.
Yeah, I know. I was going into it expecting it to take years, and something about freeing my time and not having to balance it with teaching. Everything I've ever done creatively, I've balanced with working full time. So this was a gift to myself to do that.
That
you
is
know?
nice to be able to do one thing.
Yeah, and it made a difference. So I'm really grateful that I was able to do that. Yeah.
So if people want to find out more about your creative endeavors, your past books, your future art projects to the world, how do they connect with you?
Everything is on my website, actually, BridgettDavis.com.
And you spell your name different, though, so
Bridgett.
I love that story as well. So.
Oh, yes, the story of how I changed the spelling.
But I thought that was really cool, because the first time I met you, I'm like, that was one of the things I noticed about you is how you spelled your name. And I'm like, I like that. Not with an E on the end,
Right.
not with an I,
Exactly.
but your own version of who you were. And I liked how I think Rita was the one who said to you, you can choose to call yourself whatever you want to. You've grown, basically.
Rita really influenced me in so many ways, and that was one of them. She was so validating of me. She knew me, she understood who I was, and she said, who you are is fine. And whatever you want to call yourself, that's what you should call yourself, and that's what I'm going to call you.
I think it was at the beginning of the book you said, she knew me better than I knew myself.
It's true. It's true.
That's just awesome. Thank you so much for the book. Thank you for coming and sharing, the good moments and the hard moments and everything that you put into this. And I wish you so much success on everything else, but I do. I love this book, and I hope everybody picks it up and reads it.
Thank you so much. This was great. Thank you.
106.7 Lights